Hello teacups, what's brewing? Today we're back with Chantal and her stream entitled Hi. I've cut it down to about 10 minutes because I've taken most of the talking points out of the first hour and a half. The live stream itself was between 3 and 4 hours, but most of the second half certainly was her just going back and forth and talking around it with her audience. So I think I've gotten most of the major points out of it. But there is more there if you want to go and watch her original. I believe it is still up on channel. There are other compilation channels as well that have covered it a little more thoroughly, but I cut this down myself because with the talking points that are in there, I wanted to make sure I'd watched at least the majority of it first and I could choose what I included. Second, this is going to be a bit of a long intro, by the way. I don't usually give trigger warnings because generally I believe people can be responsible for themselves. However, the issues that come up here are very, very heavy. So I'm just going to say this. At the beginning of the story, at the beginning of the stream, she says that Nada has been arrested and she lists the charges for which she reported him. If any of these charges are triggering to you, please make a responsible decision with your own mental and emotional health and feel free to take a step back. Connected to that, in terms of the comments today, I'm not generally one to heavily moderate comments because I don't care what people think of me, and generally my audience isn't too bad with them, so there's no need. However, there's a couple of things I would really like to request before we move on. Number one, there are a certain portion of the audience that will resonate with Chantal with this, or resonate might not be the right word. They will feel some kind of way, be it good or bad, about what's going on with Chantal because of personal experience in some of these areas. While I respect your experience and what you may have been through, I ask that you please not trauma dump down in the comments. I realize that your experience may be important, will be important to you and may inform your opinion of Chantal, but YouTube comments isn't the place to share that story. Please protect yourself, protect other people. Please don't leave it down there. Also, I never really have a lot of patience with this, but also be aware, if I see people attacking other people in the comments because they're arguing over opinions and things, I'm just going to delete the thread. I think the issues are too important, okay? So I'm just starting with that. Apologies if it's a little abrupt. Most of you, as I've said before, have got a good set of heads on your shoulders, but I recognize that she is a very polarizing person and these are very important issues. Also with her being polarizing is the nicest way I can put it. Guys, Chantal is terrible most of the time. My hope for her redemption arc in this particular story is thin and lessening day by day. But if you have reached the point where you hate Chantal so much that you feel what she's gone through in the last 10 months is some kind of karmic retribution for her actions, please resist the urge to scream about all the people you hate, in the immortal words of Taylor Swift, okay? Just simmer it down, take a step back. The internet's not that important. If you hate her that much, just leave, okay? Right, sorry for all that, you guys. I just feel like with issues like this, it really needs to be said beforehand. Thank you for staying with me this long. One final thing, because God forbid we just start. I am fairly ignorant of certain things in terms of I have no personal experience of going through these issues. I don't live in Canada, so I don't really know the legal system. If I get shit wrong, it's probable I'm going to get shit wrong. Please know that everything I'm stating in this video is an opinion. I am not an expert by any means. I have no insider information. I'm an audience member just like you. All right, for real this time, let's get into it, okay? Thank you.
They've arrested Nader. I didn't expect that, honestly. I honestly didn't expect that to happen. I don't know what I expected to happen. I gave my side of the story on what charges, physical abuse or assault or whatever, confinement, and sexual assault.
Okay, so those are the 3 charges that she reported. Make good choices, okay? In terms of her not knowing what she thought was going to happen, when you walk into a police station with charges like those, they're going to take it seriously. When you file that kind of report on a man who already has charges and is on probation, they are going to take that seriously. So to expect anything else, I think, is a little strange. But also, she lives her life entirely online, and slapping at each other on the internet isn't the same as going through official measures. And the interactions she's had with the police up until now have been fairly benign. They haven't resulted in any long-term consequences. It's just been, oh yeah, I spoke to them, and she's moved on. So this action, as an extension of what she's been doing online, has suddenly gotten a lot more serious. But it's real life, it does that. We talk about not going real life a lot, and I think a lot of that has kind of lost meaning as the lines between life and online have blurred for her, because she doesn't really have any separation at all.
I have Debbie freaking out, video messaging me, begging me not to do this, saying I should know he has a good heart. She's still at his house. So I'm in the interrogation room, and the investigator's going back, like everything is like recorded with like video and everything. So I'm going through my videos to try to find these dates of these things. So I do need your guys' help. Like, I'm probably gonna have to go to court and everything.
Yeah, she probably is. These are serious accusations. She automatically goes to her chat for all the help. She has her videos. She has them dated. Even if we don't see them, she has them in her studio behind the scenes. I realise that 98% of them are titled some variation of beezing, but she does have that information. However, I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up checking reaction channels, just because we tend to keep we tend to keep better records than she does. So it wouldn't shock me. However, I still feel a little weird her going, so chat, you need to help me with this. It doesn't feel appropriate. Same as the conversation she had with Debbie, Dee, whatever you want to call her. I think Debbie is her real name. She goes into more detail about it later, so we'll talk about it then. But if I were her and I had made the decisions that led her up to this point, I would not be talking to Debbie. That would not be a conversation I would be having. Her number would be blocked. It has now taken a step up in scale, and I think everything should be handled either behind the scenes or with the police preferably, because I feel like it's not going to help her at all to have conversations with these people during this investigation.
So I'm not, like, stuff I say can be used against me.
Yeah, exactly.
I basically said that to Debbie because she was like, he doesn't deserve this. His mom is sick. He was crying before getting handcuffed. I'm like, so I just replied to her. I wrote, he physically, emotionally, and sexually abused me for 10 months. He deserves this.
We get a few more details, just a few, as this video goes on. Some of them are kind of new to us. Some of them are different variations from what we've heard before. But do not talk to anyone. Like, don't talk to Didi. What are you doing answering her? Send her messages on if you need to, but don't have this conversation. Like, block her. Because as she says, these things can be used against her. And there's a whole conversation about her credibility that we're going to have in a little while. But I really wish, like, I'm glad we know what happened in the sense of audience to entertainment is definitely the wrong word, but to creator, because we want that closure, we want to know what's going on, but this doesn't feel like a good live stream to do. I don't think she comes out of it well.
They did ask me too, like, why now? You know, like, it basically makes me feel like, I do feel like, oh, well, you were gonna go to the cops today, so I'm gonna go to the cops. Actually, I've been on the fence about it for like the whole time, you know? Or no, she said you were gonna help me. You wanted to help me last week. Fix this. She sounded just like him. They're probably in it together.
She needs to be really careful what she says, because now that this is official, in the terms of her going to the police, everything she puts online is basically an accusation. She's not saying allegedly here. she's saying, oh yeah, they're in it together. And she makes a few comments later that I'm like, oh, hold up there, honey. That has like legitimate weight if you're saying it. So it's just, I wish she were more careful, and she's not. Because here's the thing, and I should have really said this at the beginning, but God knows I said enough. I believe everything she said happened in terms of the abuse she received happened. I believe this. Yes, she is a lying liar who lies. But we have seen her try to erase this from the narrative, and we've seen it come back again. So I believe he should be in jail. I think it's the best place for him. I think he is a danger to society. I don't think he should be free. But I think everything she does right now and everything she's been doing for 10 months since this started is now going to be a threat to that end. So I just wish she'd back off.
Irrelevant, Chantal. This needed to be done. How or why is not important now. You're eager to be cute and go on your live stream. Taking action. So am I. I'm driving to your probation officer right now. Do do do. Do 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 do. On the way to got to know. On the way to got to know. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. And
Okay. I put that clip in. As I say, I believe he did all those things, and I'm not on anybody's side. Okay? When I question Chantal, it's not in the defense of Nada. But the point I'm trying to make is now Chantal doesn't have proof, right? She doesn't. I really hope I've included this clip, but if I haven't, in this live stream, she states that she doesn't have proof because she doesn't have the pieces of footage she thought she had proving the abuse. Now, we saw this in her very short-lived video, What It's Really Like to Cook with Chef El Shami, or something like that. She only kept it up for about 20 minutes. I think Pulpy caught it during one of his lives, but I don't think anyone else really got to cover it because it came down so quickly. And there wasn't a lot in it because that was the point at which she wanted to burn the bridges. She wanted to scorch the earth. She wanted to salt the ground. She was going to go for it. And then she didn't have the footage. So she had a couple of shots of him looking kind of irritated. And then she had text in between claiming he just finished yelling at me. But she didn't actually have footage of it happening. She didn't have audio. She didn't have video. And she says again, she doesn't have proof here. So if you're coming with accusations this serious and there is no proof, then what it becomes is a he said, she said. And that's frequently a problem in cases like this. So when she says, oh, all this is documented, no. Her back and forth is documented in terms of dates and things. We can say this is when this issue first came up. The only actually official documented things she has are the previous police reports, which could go both ways because she had the one where the police showed up at her house and she claimed to have made a report detailing some of the things he had done. We didn't hear much about that after, and it didn't seem to go further. So I don't know if that report really exists or if it does and it just nothing has happened because she hasn't pursued it more. So that could potentially be useful, but to balance that in terms of behaviour, there's also the one from Nada's house where he got the police to ask her to leave. You know, so it's a double-edged sword in terms of how much it will help or hinder her. Because this is essentially going to come down to, is she a credible source of information for the truth? And something her channel is going to show, all this proof she claims to have, is that no, her narrative changes constantly. And that doesn't mean that I don't believe her, but it does mean that she can't prove it. And if you come to the point where you're like, well, why would she bring this against him? And you see her in her car going, I'm going to Gatineau, I'm going to report you. And all the bitterness she's had the last few weeks and the fact that she was intending to go back and then Didi was there and the rage. So when she mentions, yeah, it looks like it's basically tit for tat and a revenge report, doesn't mean that the facts that she's reporting aren't true. but I'm not sure what the police can do with them, because if they're going to take it to court, they have to have some hope in hell that they're going to win. Can they bring Foodie in and say, she is a reliable source of information? And I don't think they can. I think her channel proves that they can't. And that concerns me. It's such a shame. This is one of the reasons I wish she'd get off live, because I don't think this helps her. And I want him to be prosecuted if it's appropriate.
Actually, they have May's name. They asked me about May, so they know about May and some other people too. That's what I said to the guy too. I'm like, does it matter? Like, it doesn't matter. Cause like they asked me like basically if like Dee Dee wasn't there, or like if you were still with him, would you be in this police office? And I'm like, no, probably not. But like at the same time, obviously not if I'm with. That's why I haven't reported him yet, because I was with him and wanted to be with him. I'm not going to put him in jail when I want to be, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and people in abusive situations go back all the time. That's not necessarily a deal breaker. But when you look at the circumstances of how she's been acting and how gleeful she was at the idea of arriving, and then you try and reconcile it with this idea of victim, it's sometimes a hard pill to swallow. Doesn't mean what she went through wasn't valid, but how do you move forward with this? That is my question. From a perspective of, if you had to bring in Nader and he was fighting this in court, what would he bring up to fight it, to discredit her? And there's a lot of stuff there. There's very little actual proof, you know? And I hate that, because she does detail a little bit what the SA accusation has come from. And I want him in jail. You know, me as an audience member that's got nothing to do with her life, he is scum. And it just, it's horrible. Just because it's her doesn't mean it's not awful, you know? She can be awful and it can be awful, and both things can be true. So I just, I don't like this at all.
I mean, I wanted to be with him, so I didn't want to report him. Regardless, it doesn't negate the fact that he put his hands on me.
It absolutely does not, but it does potentially reflect motivations that will be picked apart if it comes to him having to defend himself legally. Now, they may not even bring the case. She mentioned there were other women that they asked about. If the Crown decided to bring a case and just call her as like a witness, and she wasn't reliable, but they had other women saying similar things, they'd still have a case. So who knows if it will go to court or not. But if it's just her, I don't think she can carry that.
Asked that too. I'm like, so if, let's say I wanted to, like, I even asked that. I'm like, so let's say I wanted to, like, be with him. Like, does that negate, if I wanted to be with him today?
Oh, this question. You know what this tells me? It tells me, even after all of this, even after everything she's said, there is a teeny, tiny part of her that would still. And that's awful. I'm just, no.
After all this, does that negate what he did? And
No,
it's
it
like,
doesn't.
absolutely not. It doesn't. Yeah, there's some things I haven't told you guys. I'm not ready to talk about.
That's fair. She talks a tiny bit about it, but if it was something that she hadn't told us yet and then the narrative changed, would we necessarily have heard everything? She's got very little separation, I don't know, but she describes it in a little bit and it feels real, which I know isn't hugely reliable with her, but I'm just going on instinct here.
No contact with me, and they're like, we're gonna ask for that, so I don't know what that means. They had to have other cases open on him. Yeah, that's what they said. They didn't give me much information, but you should ask for a TPO for DD. What is TPO?
Temporary protection order. I'm not sure entirely what it entails, but I'd imagine similar things to a restraining order, just on a temporary basis, I suppose.
So, other women went to the police about him too, yeah.
Okay, so let's hope they've got enough credibility. I'm going to use that word a lot, sorry. Let's hope as a unit they've got a strong enough case to move it forward, despite the inconsistency in Foodie's narrative.
The Crown will grant you a no contact order, especially when it's abuse and he's repeat offender. Might just not go through until tomorrow. You need to start looking. Oh, really? Place far away. I am. If he spends some time away in jail, at least then I can find a place to move. Cause yeah.
I'm not sure. Actually, we'll let her continue because she gives a bit more detail.
The investigator asked me about some other women's names I didn't recognize. So there must have been other women, but May Anderson was there. So
when she said May Anderson was there, I don't think she means physically. I think her name was on the list, is perhaps where she's going with that, because it seems very unlikely she'd have showed up at the police.
Well, there must be something. Lauren, this is karma for him showing your clothes on live. Yeah?
Lauren, you're an absolute fucking fool. All right, my love? And this was one of the reasons I mentioned in the beginning of the live. Karma is not a factor here. And if you're going to, he's a terrible person. There are lots of things he needs consequences for. He showed my underwear online and made fun of me is not equal to, so I threw him in jail, potentially for a long serving of time, because he's on probation and I'm making really serious accusations. It doesn't correlate. Stop being an idiot.
Ask me about that. How much is this bond? This friends with benefits. I think if you're on probation, you don't get bail. I showed him the screen of him calling me Delphine number 2.
Which at least is something tangible that she can show. She did mention the other day that in the conversation with May, he had withdrawn, unsent a lot of his messages. And I don't think she had screenshots because she's been trying to share screenshots and what she'd shown us as an audience hasn't been particularly convincing. So like I said, I don't think she's got a lot.
I show everything. Everything. I'm glad I documented everything online.
But you didn't document everything online. You documented your opinion of everything. At the beginning of this live, she says, I gave my side of the story. And, there are 3 sides. There's hers, there's Nada's, and there's the truth. And they're just going to try their best to get to the middle ground. But what she has is not documentation. She's got what she claimed happened. She's got accusations online. But unless she's got proof to back them up, there's a limit to how useful they are. They will help her with timeline and maybe remembering details. And that may help with other things later. But saying on live he did this is not the same as proving it.
Because I don't have bruises to show. I don't know, Sabi Yusuf Didi.
She did have bruises to show. We saw her boobs on live. I remember that because I didn't want to see it then. And I was like, huh.
He wasn't there from the Windsor trip. You would be there now. Yeah, Liliana, he does have some scary friends. He said that he has friends. He met some scary friends in prison, people who don't mind killing people for $500.
I would be alarmed by that. I mean, he sounds like he'd tell a lot of stories to keep her in her place. To be completely honest, I think that'd be part of the manipulation, but you don't know if it's true or not. So yeah, I would be concerned. I'd be looking at home security. I'm presuming the middle of the night now because the restaurant she mentioned, Papa John's was closed or something. So it's probably the wee hours of the night. But she's also not making a lot of sense in what she's saying in terms of she's so afraid for her personal safety, but she's revealing so much online and she's sitting here talking about it. I'm like, why are you signposting your fears that way? It's just going to make it more useful, And I'll talk a bit about that in a minute.
I'd be more nervous if I was you.
Yeah.
They kept asking.
Or rather, I would take more action as a result of my nerves than you.
Me, are you going to be okay? I don't know. I am nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's calling me. Hello? He is at the hospital. He got taken to the hospital by paramedic. And they can't hold him for more than 24 hours. So after the hospital, he's going to be sent back home on condition. He can't have any contact with me. He can't come near my address. He can't talk about me online or nothing.
I wonder if those are the only conditions, because my big question with that is he not allowed to use social media at all? Or is he allowed to, but not directly address her? I wonder what the limits of it are. Because so much of their kind of post-relationship communication has been done through live. I think he'd be absolutely mad to start up a live right now as if he's doing a cooking show, but I also don't consider Nada a paragon of intelligence, so who knows what he'll do. But it's the same with the Didi stuff. I'm wondering where the lines lie, because Didi contacted her and at what point do you say she contacted her on Nada's behalf, but of her own volition? Does that get covered by the conditions of his release? Because he wasn't the one who did it, and presumably he didn't instruct Dee Dee to do it because he was being arrested. So does that then cover it? How does that work? That's a question I'd really actually like answered, because I'd be interested to see what's going to happen. She's still talking about him online. So where are those lines drawn, and to what extent in terms of the people surrounding him? I don't know. It is a question.
He's gonna get to stay home until with conditions until he has to appear in court. Should I go stay at a hotel?
I mean, it wouldn't. There's two sides of that. It wouldn't be a bad idea in the sense that he is less likely to know exactly where you are. But I also feel like if one of the conditions right now is that he can't come to your house and he shows up at your house, that's very cut and dry. Whereas if you're in a hotel and something happens, I mean, let's face it, we'd all suspect him, but again, I suppose can't make contact with you would cover it, but how much? I don't know. I don't know how far it would go, you know? But she's saying he's got friends. She's saying all these things. So it brings a lot of things into question. I don't know how safe she'd be. I don't know if she'd be safer at home or at a hotel is maybe the best thing I can say. I realize I'm not being very clear here.
He probably like knows this. He knows he's not stupid. He probably faked being sick to go to the hospital knowing that they can't hold him now.
I mean, if it was a case of 24-hour max, I don't suppose it matters either way.
He thinks this is all to get back at him. He thinks this is like, you did this to me.
I think it was triggered by that. I think she's got legitimate and valid complaints. I think it was triggered by the fact that she was angry that Dee Dee was there. Should that matter? No. Might that matter? Yes.
Mistress Rebecca, get a Ring cam ASAP and a better lock.
Yeah.
Or what about a doorbell camera?
That's what a Ring cam is. Ring is the brand for it.
Mo translates. I'm sure the cops have translators, but I have experience in this profession in case any confirmation is needed from my videos. Thank you, Mo translates. Hey, your guys' videos, reaction videos might be needed in court, actually.
Yeah, I mean, if it came to it, and they needed to establish a timeline, it may well be easier to use reaction videos. If they did that, they wouldn't need our permission. They're public pieces of media. They can access them just like anyone else can access them. But I don't think it would come to that. I think it's more if it got to court, if the poor law clerk that had to shift through all her videos to get evidence and things. By the way, my understanding of law basically comes from Emily D. Baker's videos, which is obviously the American system. So I don't know how it works in Canada and how, if it got there, how it would get there, who would be involved. Yeah, but if some poor law clerk ends up having to research this stuff, I would 100% recommend compilation and reaction channels first, just to find a better timeline, because we are more descriptive and we don't dirty delete.
Okay, Sam, I want to smoke. I haven't smoked all day.
She does say she's taken an edible later though, so she starts smoking after she's taken an edible, and you know, it's fine, nothing to worry about. I would not want myself to be under the influence in this moment.
Not do any edibles.
Yeah.
I already did Kimikaze.
And now you're talking online about an active case. Does this seem like a good idea? It doesn't seem like a good idea.
Angie, you showed plenty of breast arm bruises.
I'd forgotten this clip was in it.
Did I really? Savannah Vanna, you said earlier you don't have pics of bruises, but you have vids with big ass thumbprint shaped bruises. And the big one on your face, there.
She had a red mark on her face, and she has the argument with Shannon. Again, I don't think it technically can be classified as proof, but at least it would be an indicator. I don't know where the lines are. I don't know in terms of inside a court of law how it would go. But unless there's proof, I don't think it'll make it to court, so.
Really? Oh, I don't remember that, Savannah.
Do you think she really doesn't remember? I mean, it's possible with her being so high. Is it that she was under the influence? Is it that psychologically uncomfortable things just get blocked out immediately? Or is it that she remembers and just says it because she doesn't want to answer it right now?
Yeah, the one on my breast, I'm not gonna
Or is the answer just yes?
say those were from sex. I'm not, I had to take an actual oath, I'm gonna be honest. Don't worry, Debbie, your new mate will be back with you tomorrow.
See, and this just stinks of bitterness. And it's not going to help you. Just stop addressing her.
Chantal, are you really going to ruin this man's life? You know just as well as I do that he has a good heart. He has been arrested, spending night in jail, being interrogated until tomorrow, where he needs to present himself in front of judge tomorrow. You wanted to help me out last week. I am begging you to call me and talk about this as mature adults. Nader did not go to the police or court today. I talked him out of it. This is serious, Chantal.
This was Dee Dee's message to Chantal. Again, block her. Dee Dee is a side character here. Yes, she was, I think, the genesis of this particular move, and her influence there helped to push Chantal in this direction. But Nada is the person she's doing this against, and involving herself with any conversation with Dee Dee is only going to result in weakening her case. Do not contact her. Block her and be done.
Try calling me. And then she said, Chantal, Nader might be going back to jail. Please stop listening to your VIBs. This is real life with consequences that will affect him and his family. He spoke to his mom today and she is very ill. Please, Chantal, fix this. Call me. Please, I am begging you.
I think Dee Dee is really weird for sending this text message. Yes, it's real life. Yes, it's real consequences. Yes, it's real serious. Also, he seems to be an abusive piece of shit, and she has the right, even if you disagree with the moment, she has the right to report it. If he did it, he deserves to be punished for it.
If you want me to leave tomorrow, I will. Nader is a good fucking hell. They really think this is you really think I'm just mad that you're there?
I think the reason she reported it was because she was mad she was there. I think her claims are valid.
If you want me to leave tomorrow, I will. Nader is a good friend, and it breaks my heart to see this all happening. Please, Chantal, fix this, please. Chantal, I am here in his place tonight. He was crying before cops handcuffed him.
I'd give a shit if he was crying. Sob on, dude. Get in the car.
To go to the station. Please, Chantal, fix this. You know deep down he does not deserve this. So finally I answered her and I said, he physically abused me and sexually assaulted me for 10 months. He deserves this.
He does. Stop answering.
Goodbye, Debbie. See you later.
See you later. That's why she needs to stop answering, because the sarcasm here. Goodbye. See you later. Is that helpful? No.
French toast blocker.
Yeah, blocker. Thank you, French toast. I don't often thank her VIBs, but blocker. This just makes you look more petty. It just undermines your motivations as a character in this story. Just stop.
Once they see all the evidence, charges will be dropped. You didn't win, and he's already home with Dee Dee. He should feel bad. And
ultimately, isn't that it? And that's the problem with her talking about it online. That's the problem with having all this, I don't even want to, I was going to go evidence. It's not evidence, but it is footage of her looking into the camera saying, I'm going to have the last word. Because then it calls into question, well, you have no evidence how much of this really happened and how much of this is just you having no boundaries and raging online and deciding you're going to do anything you need to do to make him pay. As I said, I'm not saying that's what she's doing because I believe that he has been abusive. But if you're going to argue that in a legal setting, every time she's gotten angry over the last 2 weeks, she's been like, he needs to admit he was wrong. He needs to be honest. He needs to go. I need to have the last word. You will not win. I will win. You haven't even seen me. So you don't know what I'm like when I'm mean. And it just makes it look like she's making things up, even if she's not.
But he doesn't.
Well, this will show him, won't it?
He's probably gonna try to fucking kill me or something.
Please be careful the things you say online. In a general sense, but Exhibit A.
I'm not kidding. If something happens to me, you know what happened. Dee Dee needs to stop press charges on her with a TPO. She needs to zip it.
Does the TPO extend to her? She's not a family member. I don't know.
He cannot use her to torment you. It will be a violation of TPO.
Yeah, that's my question. Will it be? Like, how does she factor in? Because I don't think she should be contacting Chantal at all. I don't think Chantal should be replying, but this shouldn't be an issue, I feel like. It feels weird that it would be allowed when the point is protection, but I don't know how far it extends.
Exactly, Norma Jean. That's why I should have said, can you use other people to harass me? Chantal, please be careful with what you say. Don't let people bait you.
And this is why she should not be getting high online right now. The less control, she wants to numb it out. She's saying, oh, this is way more real than I thought. And she asks in a bit, and I haven't clipped this, like, why shouldn't I wait until I'm so high? Why should I get offline when I'm high? It's because she's going to say things that's just going to weaken her case. She's going to reveal too much. She's just giving everyone else more ammo. If you're going to get high, get offline. I'd rather she didn't get high at this point, because I feel like, not necessarily she's in active danger, but I feel like it's going to be a challenging situation. I prefer to keep my wits about me personally.
Yeah, Raquel, I'm not going to. Bees and Sam, it doesn't matter if I cry DV 1 minute or not. It doesn't change the fact that he did it.
It doesn't change the facts at all, but it does change the perception of the facts from other people's point of view.
Grammar police. Watch what you say. They are going to try and build something on you. Nader will pretend he wants you back. Zero contact. Just record everything he says.
He shouldn't be in contact with her at all. At all. She shouldn't, I mean, of course, don't answer. Just pass it on to the police if he does. One would assume, with the seriousness of the nature of the charges and the fact that he is on probation, that he wouldn't break a TPO, but that does assume a certain level of intelligence.
I will, grammar police, don't worry. The investigator asked me too, like, why I would go back. Like, there's a mixture of reasons. I sort of believed him, but, like, I felt bad. He made me feel bad.
This is actually something we've seen evidenced in the way she's been talking about their relationship. Remember, as unsympathetic as I personally have felt towards her, definitely in the latter half of this relationship, she did start out very, very vulnerable. She started out having come out of a long-term relationship, being a prime target with sort of her disposable income, her lack of self-confidence. She's got a lot of issues that make her a prime target. Yeah? And she's absolutely in a position, as are many people in this situation, where they can be manipulated into thinking it's their fault. Yeah? So when she says that, yeah, I know she's felt bad a lot of the time. When you break down the logic behind it, it hasn't made sense, and we're like, well, that's clearly not true. But she's believed it, whether you think she should have or shouldn't have. So it's not invalid, but also she's had a lot of opportunities to leave, and kind of where is the balance with that? I don't know. I don't have answers for you. I'm just thinking out loud.
It made me feel like shit. Gingerbread Loaf, he can't have any contact with me, so
Yeah.
if he messages you again, you can tell her she's violating Nader's conditions. Yep. Yeah.
I think she should just cut off all contact. I know I keep saying it. Forward it to the police if she has to, or call the office and say, this is the situation. If it's not allowed, can you talk to her? And then if they say, no, it doesn't cover, like, get the details on the conditions and block her if it doesn't cover it.
I'm going to. But then I can call the cops on him, grammar police, and have him arrested. Like, if he breaks any of these conditions.
She can and 100% should, but she doesn't seem to know the extent of the conditions either, which is why I think it's really important to clarify. Clearly, if he shows up at any point, that is a break. But I would want the details of that.
If he even, like, texts me or, like, anything, he'll go back to jail. Do you have a lawyer yet? I don't need a lawyer, Ivana. I asked that, I'm like, so do I need a lawyer? They're like, no, the Crown is the one that's gonna. He'll be allowed to do live streams anymore, or will he have to have approved uploaded videos? I think he can do live streams, he just can't cause shit with me.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying before. I wonder if he's allowed to use social media. And I wonder if it's just a case of, can he just not address her directly? If he had something inflammatory in the background, like for example, if her stuff was still hanging up, not quite on display, but maybe just hanging in a corner, just as a reminder, you know, just, it might be deliberate, but he could also argue, oh, I'm sorry, I moved them out of the way of the camera, but I forgot they were up there. You know, like, what is the line?
And
I think it would be stupid to go online. He should stay offline. But, you know, people get very angry in these situations. They do things that are not smart.
don't bother to erase or private your videos. Yeah.
I mean, erasing and privating her videos at this point would be detrimental to herself, I suppose. I mean, I guess if you wanted to erase some of the back and forth, but if it's relevant, a court can request those videos. It can be done. So yeah, just don't waste anyone's time.
Yeah, Mia, he forced it. Backdoor. So I reported that too. Because that made me bleed.
So that appears to be the SA accusation. That's all she says on the matter. And I don't believe we had heard that before. But that, I know we'd had some conversation about her saying, that's not something I'm interested in doing in bed. So we do, I suppose, have that established, but that's all we hear about it.
I'm actually a bit scared that I can't hear the front door when I'm up here.
This, guys, I'm sorry. In these circumstances, how monumentally stupid do you have to be to say, he can't contact me, but he's got friends who will kill people for $500. I'm in my house, I'm on live, so you know I'm here and you can watch to see when I finish. And when I'm upstairs, I can't hear the door. And then just display that online. Why? She also at one point, I might be in here, says, oh, no, I'm taking the cat to the vet on Saturday. And again, I'm like, I think she has mentioned that before, but why would you reiterate your schedule outside the safety of your house, the one place he's not allowed to come, for anyone to use? I don't understand her thinking. I don't imagine the drugs are helping her logic, but I don't understand the thinking of it. Why paint that target on yourself if you're scared?
I'm pretty sure we'd hear it if he was banging on it.
I don't think he would bang on it.
If he was trying to get in?
I think he would pick the lock.
But you think he knows how to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I have. Okay, guys, there was obviously a lot in the live stream. There's obviously a lot in the accusations. I think we're gonna have to just wait and see what happens. As always, thank you for being here. Please in the comments, please just take a deep breath and have a thought before you post, okay? Because just with this being what it is, I would rather people just tread carefully, okay? Thank you so much. I will see you next time.